why you're doing this is because if you're unaware of your life, you're just a passenger. You want to be as aware as possible of what you're actually doing, because if you're unaware and you just do, you're running the automatism of the matrix. So consciousness research is a very interdisciplinary field, and it includes several sciences like cognitive science, linguistics, sociology, developmental psychology, all kinds of psychologies, and anything quantum, and anything AI for that sense is also already going into that field. So it's a very vast field, and you can apply consciousness research for almost anything, and I am mainly applying it to leadership, as in the feminine and masculine embodied leadership, which has nothing to do with gender, not to open that pot. And the other thing is artificial intelligence is the other area of expertise where I research in. And research, in my sense, is action research. It's not theoretical research. It's embodied research, which means it comes from the experience itself. We're going to look into how can we apply the findings of consciousness research to leadership. You all want to become some kind of change agent, and that means you will have to lead. You will have to lead yourselves first and foremost before you lead others. And how does that work from the interdisciplinary lens of consciousness research, which means not in the sense of what you're actually doing in your field, whatever you kind of want to do, but what does it mean to walk as that? So what we're going to do now is, first of all, the term growth mindset. I know that everybody has an immediate idea when that is being said. Growth mindset is an intrinsic want and need to change all the time. About 15% of people have that. And it is actually, most of them are in a certain stage that is quite developed. Usually people look for safety and stability and then a little bit of learning, but not constantly learning all the time. And you can kind of feel it, like if you were on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 is zero change, please. 10 is changing all the time. Like you'll be somewhere between 4 and 6 or 3 and 7, somewhere around the middle here. And because we kind of want the balance of that. So claiming a growth mindset is a very brave thing to do. And also some people have that as a value in their value cluster to say growth is everything. They risk a lot. They also risk their other people around. So you have a couple of very globally known leaders who currently risk a lot for a whole country or a whole continent or the whole planet because their growth mindset is so pushy. And that's not necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. It depends on if the person actually has the capacity to think for everybody or if they're just thinking for one particular group that is theirs, that is basically their tribe. And the more people can include everybody, literally, in their growth mindset, the more advanced they are in their consciousness. So if you think about the Nelson Mandela, there was nobody really in the end who could say, well, that guy was wrong. Because he included a lot of perspectives. So if you want to have consciousness as a term defined, there's so many definitions, but one I like best is to have as many perspectives as possible and being able to embody them. Not think them, but feel them. So you actually knows how it feels too. That's what we generally call experience. People are very experienced. They just had a lot of things in their life happening to them that made them experienced in stuff. And that makes you trust them in a way. And that's, in the end, what makes a good leader, because they can embody things that you're like, that girl seems to know what she's doing. And then you trust them. It's an intrinsic thing. It's an impulsive thing that we do. So when it comes to growth mindset, don't overestimate yourselves, as in how much growth do I actually want? And don't forget the stability. Because if you're unstable, growth is having a destructive edge. And a lot of people like disruption. Disruption, the definition of the term disruption is change without kindness. Think about that. That's what disruption is doing for you. There's no kindness in disruption. You just want to change for the sake of changing. That's not really a good thing because it excludes parts in everybody who are like kind of scared or insecure or need more or are totally opposing that. So when you talk about change and growth mindset always wants change, then figure out like how can I do it in a way that's a little kinder to everybody instead of just pushing through. So what I'm going to give you now is like to kind of tools to understand your own patterns and to watch yourself, your habits, your automatisms of how to be successful with whatever you want to do. Why you're doing this is because if you're unaware of your life, you're just a passenger. You want to be as aware as possible of what you're actually doing, because if you're unaware and you just do, you're running the automatism of the matrix, to use that word. And if you want to change something, you want to pioneer. You don't want to be a perfect little person in the system, but you want to understand the system and see where can I shift something so more aliveness is possible. That's the overall aim of the universe. More aliveness. It's constantly expanding, and the expansion is just there for the sake of aliveness. There's no other sake in there. There's no other purpose. It's just expansion. And expansion doesn't mean more money or more planets or more, I don't know, capitalism or more rights. It just means more aliveness, and for all sentient beings. See how many perspectives we have to include if we want to change something really for the better. What is better? Better is always in a sense of consciousness research, inclusion. So we say growth is not exclusion and leaving behind, it's inclusion. If you want to grow, you kind of need to include the thing that triggers you most. How can you do that? That's what consciousness research is looking at when it's about growth. So going to those skills, those 4 specific skills I brought for you is, the first one is values and countervalues. Any value that we hold has always a countervalue, and a countervalue is not the bad thing on the other side, it's the good thing on the other side. It's basically the opposing thing that balances it. We had loyalty. What's that? Yeah, loyalty. Loyalty means that if somebody is, or something, or some situation is, I've decided for something, I'm going to stick with it. I'm not going to be opportunistic and do the next best thing. So what's the counter value for loyalty? The counter value would be flexibility. Because sometimes it does make more sense to not stick with, I don't know, the group that I've always been with, but to try something new, because otherwise we don't grow. If you're always loyal, we never change perspectives because we always stick with the same, let's say, circle of friends or company. So loyalty is a beautiful value, and it has the counter value of flexibility. Look at your values, note down the top 3 and try to find the counter value. But it's not a thing that's better or worse. It's something that's on eye level. And that's one of the skills. If you're aware of that, these are my values, what are my counter values, that's where you can grow into. That's your growth edge. And you don't want to just grow cognitively, you want to grow socio-emotionally, because it will make you a better leader and it will make you a better human being in that sense, better. It doesn't mean that you're bad now, it's just like more alive. You have more room to maneuver, you can hold more complexity, you can be more relatable to more people if you hold more perspectives. Second skill, self-generated agency. That's almost an equivalent to growth mindset, because it means that from your inside, as an intrinsic motivation, you want to get stuff done. You want to shift, you want to grow, you want to do something. You're not so much occupied with, I don't know, hanging, but you're kind of like, you know, there's people in here who will, when you I don't know how well you know each other yet, but just watch over the next months, some people are just drivers. That's self-generated agency. Nobody has to motivate them. It comes from the inside. That's a leadership personality trait. If you have that, some people are just driven. And if you're not driven, find out why. So what is the one thing that you always have agency for? It might be something totally different than what you're doing when you're sitting here. It might be running, or it might be video gaming, or whatever it is, but where is agency? And then try to find out why. Why is that making me want to do stuff? Why do I always have to go back there? If it's video games, it's well because you want to get somewhere and the environment is too slow, and a video game gives you a perfect context to get somewhere, to get stuff done, to explore, etc. If your world is too slow, you're video gaming a lot. A lot of men do that. Women too, but mostly men, to be honest. Or if you love to run, or if you like any kind of sports you'd be doing, well, okay, you like inner movement. You like to move your body, which means you like movement. That's usually a sign of growth mindset being stronger. And you understand that embodying movement is going to help you move something on the outside. Where is your agency? And find the pattern and then apply it to the other things that you're gonna have to do. So, okay, how can I make this feel like video gaming? How can I make this feel like going for a run? Just think it over. Anything about in consciousness is always about pattern recognition and how to kind of it's a cheat code basically. Where your agency is, there's your motivation, you can just paste that onto everything else. Especially if it sucks and you're like, I can't be bothered. So self-observation, awareness, we call it. People call it mindfulness, lots of words for that flying about. But when it's about consciousness, the only thing why we want to do this is, as I said, otherwise you're a passenger in your life. You just do because Wendy said so. Well, you want to understand, why is this making me excited or not? Give yourself 10 minutes a day and observe, and we'll come to that later, because the big takeaway from this, what I'm doing here, is getting into practice. Because if you're just studying and just living and just having a relationship and just eating, and you're not aware of what you're doing, you will become just another person on this planet who is destroying it. Sorry for being blunt, but that's what we're currently doing. So you want to be very aware of your whys, because it makes you un-manipulatable. This is what it's all about. If you don't know why you're doing stuff, if you don't have your why down, anybody can tell you anything, and you're just, well, I'll go with that. You'll never keep your focus, and you're never intrinsically motivated. You're always doing what everybody else is doing. So self-observation is a key trait for anybody who wants to lead anything. Because if you can't observe yourself, you can't observe the others. And then you don't know what you're doing. You're just doing. And the last thing is embodied purpose. What's the word embodiment doing here? It's a very big buzzword in leadership at the moment, because it means you're not smart here, you're smart everywhere. You can walk your talk. Which means the big hack is to understand something here, and you're all smart, otherwise you wouldn't be here. So that's a given. That's the bottom line, being smart. It's nothing that you have to claim. It's already been given to you. But how can I embody that? That means I have to observe myself and see what I'm actually doing here. And if I know something cognitively, that doesn't mean I can always do it. You all know the situation when you know something and you have to watch yourself not doing it, getting off the couch and going for a run, or eating stuff in the middle of the night because you're hungry and you know it's crap. That's not embodied knowledge, because you know, but you don't do. And there's a big gap between that for everybody. Don't judge yourself on it, just observe and see why. Oh, because it's sugar and I'm super tired and I think I need to get this done and my body just craves awakeness and that helps me. So how can I substitute that? And that's how you get into your awareness and into your being better to yourself, in a sense. If you know how to embody things, it will help you understand what your body actually needs. The body is the first resource that you have. So embodied purpose. If you know what you're doing in your body, as in, I know stuff, but I can't yet live it, but I'm working on myself there, then your purpose becomes more and more embodied. And that's what makes a great leader. You want to have a practice. And it might be every morning, it might be every time you go to the bathroom, you stop for a moment and check into your body. How do I feel? How comfortable is this what I'm currently doing? Want to get out? Can I contribute something to make it better? Something like that. Or you meditate every day, or you go for a run, or you call your friends, the people that you love, and reflect on what's going on. What is your practice? Do it consciously and do it daily. Because embodiment is happening of something that you do every day. Because neuroscience line, what fires together, wires together. The nerve cells in your brain that you use every day create those strong connections that create automatism. So if you start with something today, for example, investing. I always tell anybody who has a little bit of cash, it's 10 euros per month, it's enough, invest now. It's going to build. Also, it's going to make you aware that you kind of create some passive income for your future, so you don't have to hustle for money all the time. Things like that, what you start today and you do every day, that's a practice. And the practice is key to be aware and to be a good leader and to actually contribute something to this life, world, planet, anything. All right. You can also ask me later since the time is over. Okay.